Okay, we are in the second part of the second chapter. We are learning about the lang attribute. Lang attribute, as you can easily make out, it is the language attribute of your website. You can easily define language for your website as many languages as you want, and your website would be a multilingual language. And it is possible because you simply have to make copies of your website and then declare the language as another language, as for example, English is the default language. Any browser would read English by default. If language is not defined, English would be a default language. In the copy of this website, you can define a language with its code. I'm going to explain that, how to do that. So why are we doing lang? Lang is something that is increasingly important in your website, because there are, with the website, with your internet becoming more and more popular and widespread, with broadband connections and all kind of connectivity we have with each other, with the world, with businesses, more and more people are logging into the internet and trying to check out information. So we have a global marketplace here with diverse people who need to access information. So if you want your website to reach a wider audience, you need to have a knowledge of how to add language in your website, how to add multiple languages on your website. So Stephanie is also thinking the same thing. She has a market for French and English speaking people. English is basically international, as we know. So she has a market for French people as well. So what she needs to do is, she says that I need to set the language of the website to English and French. So we're going to help David in this video set the language for the website in English and French, and I'm going to show you how to do that. But so before I show it to you, let me show you a little example here. This is Carrefour. Okay, Carrefour, as you can see from this picture, it's a grocery store. Okay, it's a hypermarket, and it's a very popular chain of grocery stores. You may have heard of it. It stems from originates from France, and if you take a look at their website, okay, I have this website here, the France website. If you take a look at the website, everything here is in French. Okay, this is the French language. All right, and if you look at the Carrefour UAE website, there is a branch here in Carrefour. This is a branch for France. Different provinces and different cities in France have this Carrefour, and this is the date here in French. Okay, and this is the UAE website, and notice the Arabic Carrefour written here, but I think that's the part of the logo. And this website is multilingual. This is English and Arabic at the same time. If you hit Arabic, it will show you the Arabic translation of the English page. Okay, the logo comes with Arabic and English, which tells us that this business is for the Arab locality. Here the logo is just Carrefour. It just says Carrefour, nothing else, because Carrefour is a French word. Okay, so we have all kinds of marketing going on here. We have pictures here, we have all of these basic information. It's in English, and if it is not possible to translate something in English, it displays in English, which is fine. So if you want something like this in your website, have a website with 2 languages. Let's go back to English. That's how easy it is. Just switch to English. If you want something in English like this, you have to learn how to use the lang tag. Okay, let me show you another thing that's really cool here. Okay, for example, you can type this on your browser, www.carrefour.fr. that's French. Okay, this is how we know that it's a French website. The Google directories, they need to know which websites they're accessing for which location. For example, if you do a Google search from France, you will see all French websites. Okay, that'll be on the top of your list. Alright, depending on your searching habits, but that's how Google would display results based on your locality. Okay, simply right click here. Okay, you see back, reload, save as, print, translate to English, view page source, Control U. Click on that, please. Okay, what does this do for me? Oh my gosh, look at this. This is lines and lines of code. Some of it you may not recognize, some of it I can see that you can make out, especially the HTML tags. Okay, this is actually, here you have the href tag, we talked about it. Okay, all right, and you can do this with many websites. Just go right click and go view source. Okay, you cannot make changes here. What I'm trying to show you is the lang tag. Okay, just hit this button here and click on find. Okay, the options button, the options menu on your browser, click on find and look for lang, L-A-N-G. Okay, what happens when you look for lang? Okay, I'm going to start from the beginning. Let me go all the way at the top, and it's going to tell me that this is the lang tag here. There are several areas where the lang tag is defined. The lang tag is defined within the HTML tag. Okay, you always want to use the language attribute in your HTML tag to declare the default language of the text in the page. When the page contains content in another language, add a language attribute to an element surrounding that content. It's very easy. I will explain what I just said, but right now suffice it to say that do not please add the language tag anywhere else. It has to go in the HTML tag. You cannot add the you cannot add the language tag in the body element, because that would mean that, you know, the title would still remain in the default language while the body would be in some other language, which is not professional. You know, you need to do things with good code practicing habits. So you have to define your language tag in the HTML tag. Let's look at the UAE Carrefour view source. Right click please and view page source, and check this out. It says default language is equal to EN. I'm going to explain that in a second. Just hang in there. Believe me, it's not as complicated as it sounds. I'm going to look for the lang tag again. Okay, I want it right at the top. Okay, the first place where it happens. Okay, the first page, the first area where it happens, its language is equal to English. Okay, action is equal to default. Okay, we have classes, objects, JavaScript, XML, a lot of code going on here, because, you know, guys, what I'm trying to explain is HTML is very compatible with other languages as well. So you will find ActionScript, JavaScript, ASP. You would find many languages integrated in this website to boost the functionality, because there are limitations within the HTML language. Other languages, you add code in the other languages, the browser is able to read it, all because of classes. I'm going to explain classes at the end of this chapter. Okay, hang in there. You're not missing anything. We're going to cover it later. Classes, this is all a game of classes going on here. So we have the language tag. Again, the language tag is defined within the HTML tag, and it says language is equal to English and country is equal to UAE. Okay, and again we have language English, EN, and we have this place here, language is equal to Arabic. Okay, AR. Now what are these AR, EN, FR? What is this? Where is this coming from? Okay, let me give you some example here. We have this is the HTML language codes. Okay, just like you have calling codes, like if you want to call Canada, USA, any other country, any international call, you begin the call with the code, right? It's a standard. Anywhere in the world, everybody uses the same code. Similarly, the International Organization for Standardization, they put up this code list here. Okay, and they created this list, and as you can see, there are many, and the list keeps growing like crazy, as like you know, just like I said, that this is a global market now. So more and more people are logging into the internet, and they want to have access to information which is in their native language. So more and more people, just to have, you know, a global reach, more and more businesses, in order to have more market share, they are trying to have languages, multilingual websites. So you have the language, for example, Afrikaans, it's AF, Arabic is AR, okay, and there are many languages which I don't even recognize, but I can appreciate this because this is a lot of work. Chinese is here, ZH, okay, and Dutch, we have English right here, our favorite. Now English is the default. If lang attribute is not defined in the page, for example, take a look at this, guys. My first note page, if it is not defined, it's not defined here. Remember, we just typed the HTML tag, the head tag, the title tag, and the body tag, and we closed all of them, and we put in information for the heading and the paragraph. There is no place where we added the language tab, which is fine. And why? Because the English is the default language. And if you look at the web page that we created, the green event managers, the language is English. Okay, so what I'm trying to explain here is this is how different languages are defined. Okay, you need to create a special button. The button deals with leads to the website again, and leads to the same website, and the website is translated based on the declaration it has. Okay, another cool thing about Google is that if the language is not defined for you, for example, I try to look at any language here. Okay, when I first uploaded this page, when I first loaded this page, I had a message here from Google that yes, would you like to translate this page? If I do translate, it would translate everything in English. This page is being translated. Notice how everything is in English, okay, but some of the code, it's like, you know, it's overlapping with each other. It's not as neat. Some of the things still didn't translate. Okay, why? Because these were explicitly, they went in the menu item or the link item or the language or the image itself is in French. So like this one, like this one. Okay, I wish I could pronounce French, but I'm sorry I can't. So what I'm trying to say is this was Stephanie's request. She wants the language of the website in French. Okay, and if I try to refresh it, it will go back to its original language. Would you like to translate the page? No, let's look at the options here. You could paste language into French and then translate the page. For example, what if I try Arabic? Okay, translate. Everything is translated in Arabic. But the thing is, guys, let me tell you very honestly, even if they translate in Arabic, what happens is this is still not the way people in, you know, different localities speak in Arabic. That's the biggest drawback. You might be thinking, why do I have to study language tag anyway? The Google has a feature that would help me translate. Why would I need it anyway? Let me tell you something. Google is not you know, as professional, or as, no, professional, wrong word. It is not as linguistically correct as a human being. Okay, so you need to define the language, and there are classes set for language. For example, you have Arabic for UAE, you have different Arabic for Saudi Arabia. Can you believe that? It's a different way of reading. So if you want Arabic for this local market, this won't work. Nobody would like to read something like this. So the differences in dialects, they make a world of difference. So even though Google would translate it for you, you can make do with the actual translation within the website, within the markup. But let me tell you, it's not a feasible solution. The best solution is to do it yourself. Okay, so what I need to do is, so if you look at this page, my first heading and my first paragraph, this is apparently in English. Okay, supposing I want to change the language of this website to French, all I need to do is go back to my notepad, and within the HTML tag type lang. Okay, HTML lang is equal to FR. That's it. This is it. Okay, and I want to save this page as my first page FR. Okay, that's French. Okay, and then I want to also save it as HTML. I've already done that for you, so just save it. I'm going to save it again. Yes. Okay, and I'm going to go back here and double click here so that it appears. Okay, now there's nothing to be stressed about. My first heading and my first paragraph is still in English. Why? Because you have typed in English. Okay, if this page was full of forms and other, customer input areas or any other French language, that would marquees and everything, anything that you generate in French would come up in French. Okay, it would recognize the grammar, it would recognize the alphabet and the punctuations, everything. The website would recognize that for you. Okay, because you declare the language in French. The reason why we know this is in French language is because Google detected that this is not my normal language. It says, would you like to translate this page? And if you translate it, nothing would happen. It would still remain my first heading because we haven't done anything in French here. Okay, one great way of doing this is, for example, just take this, copy, Control C. Let's write this in French. Just go to Google Translate and write my first page, and it will be translated into something like this. I'm not going to try to pronounce this. Don't want to spoil the language. Okay, it's a beautiful language. So we have this translation here. Go back to your notepad and change it here, right here. Okay, and Control V. Okay, and then my first paragraph, you need to change that as well. I'm going to do Control X. That's basically how you create multilingual websites. Whatever you have written down, for example, the menu items and everything, menu, the image titles, the page title, the headings, all of those you have to change yourself. You have to explicitly change according to the local dialect. Remember, I said that a few minutes ago. The local dialect, you have to write according to that. But by declaring here HTML language is equal to French, what you're doing is you're letting the browser know, be prepared, this is going to be a French language. People reading are French people. They're going to be typing French words. So you have to be able to read the information and capture information. Or there are any forms for submission, do not mess it up. Just send it to me the way it is. Okay, I'm going to Control X the paragraph and go back to my Google Translate. Control V. Remember, this is not a very good way of translating. Okay, you have to have a professional local translator for this. But if you speak the language, there's nothing better than that. You don't need a translator. Okay, if your second language is French, awesome, you can do it yourself. Mon premier paragraph. Okay, that's what it says. I'm sure I spoiled it, but never mind, we're all learning here. And I'm going to Control V here. Okay, and I'm going to save it, and then I also want to save it as the web page, all files. Okay, just click here, save, yes, and I want to go back here and double click here. All right, this is in French. Okay, now notice I did not get any. For example, I got something here, remember? Okay, it won't work because, yeah, I just changed it. Okay, I did not get a message from Google, you want me to translate. I did not get that message from Google because this is a French page and Google knows that this is what's expected. Okay, and this is French. So all I need to do is, my dear students, what do you need to do? Just have 2 pages, a copy of this page, or whatever you write here, whatever code you create here, you're going to copy the file. You're going to make a mirror image of the file and then go at the top of the code within the HTML, define the language as French. Okay, notice what happens when I try to take this away. Okay, I'm going to save it as my first page. Okay, en you could write, save, and again I'm not going to change this. Again I'm going to save it as I'm going to save it as en.html. Okay, because I don't want to lose the French version of the file. Save. Okay, what happens when I go back here and I want to double click on the English page? Okay, it will show whatever I have typed without any issues. Okay, so what I need to do is just go back and change these back to English, my first paragraph, because this is in English, first paragraph, and then I have my first heading. There is really not much to the language tag except for adding something here. Any code that you want from the ISO chart that I showed, just add it here. HTML space lang is equal to inverted commas open, the language itself, inverted commas closed. That's it. And I'm going to save it as English. Yes. And I also want to save it as my HTML page. I'm just going to click there. There you go. Save. Yes. And let's go back and open it. Okay, double click and I'm back to my English language again. So my students, this was all about the language tag. The thing is, we need to cover more. We need to add more content for this to be able to be more meaningful to you. So just hang it there. You just learned about the language attribute. We're going to go next, and up next we're going to do the next attribute, which is the href attribute. We're going to cover this in our learning objective.